Herb. Herb is a plant. I mean, herbs are good for everything. Herb.
Hello, you made the trip to Eugene Cannabis TV. I'd say good morning or evening, depending on when you're watching the show. We got Reverend here, Will, with me as a co-host, and you got Dank here, and you can contact me at dankuzard@yahoo.com and get a hold of me directly. Welcome for you to come on the show and help out if you'd like. So, to start off a little lightheartedly, we found an interesting item here. Mark Wahlberg is to produce a TV comedy based on the marijuana legalization movement. The team behind Entourage and How to Make It in America is working on a comedy about the marijuana legalization movement, according to Deadline.com. Mark Wahlberg has worked with his usual producing partners, Rob Weiss and Steve Livingston, on the project called Happy Tree for Fox. Happy Tree, I like that. As Colorado and Washington passed a law to legalize marijuana for recreational use in November, this campaign will serve as a backdrop for this project. The show will focus on a corporate attorney who quits his job after a nervous breakdown and turns into an unexpected spokesperson for the Legalize It campaign in California, where the medical use of the drug is considered legal but not for recreational use. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with that. They could do some great social commentary in that venue. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, watching that 60 Minutes segment that was talking about pot in Colorado was really excellent a few weeks ago. I don't know whether or not people had a chance to catch that, but it seems like it's starting to pop now. You know, now that we've got it going on in a couple states. I honor the people in Washington and Colorado for making it happen, and I blame the quality of the herb here in Oregon for having people so laid back they couldn't get off their butts and vote.
Yeah, so. Could be. Well, we lost by 47%, which is a pretty high percent. So we lost, but at least but it wasn't a bad loss, so to speak.
We didn't lose by 47%, did we?
Well, I meant what I'm saying. Yeah, I said that wrong. Actually, we lost with 47%.
Thank you.
So we were close. We expect to be close, and that was basically with no money, dysfunctional movement, and a lot of lack of ignorance. I saw somebody, I forgot the figure, that 22% of the registered voters didn't even know that there was a legalization initiative on the ballot. So that's where the lack of money really hurt us, getting the word out. And by the way, I should speak up right now while I'm thinking about it. There's a big meeting coming up, and I'm sure I want to make sure you're aware of it especially. December 2nd is the next meeting for this new group that's gotten together to try to figure out what to do in the movement. With the legislature coming up, the law enforcement lobby is going to try, they've already submitted some proposals. They're going to try to cripple the medical program again, just like they always do every year, and they were trying to make things, trying to cut back on all the abuse is what they say, and they want to make some changes. And of course, all the changes they want to make will do nothing but hurt patients. But anyway. And
the only abuse that's really going on is the abuse of the government and not doing the will of the people, which is to get us our medicine. Why are you so focused on whether or not somebody has 2 extra plants when, you know, that all they're going to do with it is help somebody else?
Well, I can't figure out is why is law enforcement involved in making laws?
Oh,
what's wrong with that picture? But anyway, so it's really important. This is really important. This is a local meeting. This is the first one. This is the 4th meeting, and it's the first one locally that we can get to. The rest of them have been out of town. So it's December 2nd, Sunday, December 2nd at 11 a.m. and it's at the Compassion Center, which is over on 12th. I forgot the address. I don't have it with me right now. I'll announce the next show. But
12th and Garfield?
Yeah, basically 12th and Garfield, yeah. So anyway, that's a really important meeting. If you'd like to get involved, this is a great opportunity because this is, like I said, a statewide meeting, and this is what find out what's going on. So anyway, we have an article here from L.E.A.P. This is the Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, which is an organization of former law enforcement officers that formed an organization to fight prohibition. In their work, they found how much of a waste that the drug war is. So they've came out with an article here. This is on stopthewar.org, one of our main sources of stories. Law enforcement call on Department of Justice to respect state marijuana laws. It is a Tuesday morning, former Baltimore narcotics officer Neil Franklin delivered a letter signed by 73 current and former police officers, judges, prosecutors, and federal agents to Attorney General Eric Holder at the Justice Department in downtown Washington, D.C., urging him not to ignore the wishes of voters in Colorado and Washington state who voted to legalize, tax, and regulate marijuana. Franklin is the executive director of Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, L.E.A.P, which supported Amendment 64 in Colorado and Initiative 502 in Washington. Both measures won with 55% of the vote in this month's elections. You want to take over?
As fellow law enforcement and criminal justice professionals, we respectfully call upon you to respect and abide by the democratically enacted laws to regulate marijuana in Colorado and Washington, the letter said. This is not a challenge to you, but an invitation to help return our profession to the principles that made us enter law enforcement in the first place. The Obama administration's response to the legalization votes could help define its place in the history books, L.E.A.P warned. One day the decision you are about to make about whether or not to respect the people's will may well come to be the one for which you are known. The war on marijuana has contributed to tens of thousands of deaths both here and south of the border. It has empowered and expanded criminal networks, and it has destroyed the mutual feeling of respect once enjoyed between citizens and police. It has not, however, reduced the supply or the demand of the drug, and it has only served to further alienate through arrest and imprisonment those who consume it, the letter said. At every crucial moment in history, there comes a time when those who derive their power from the public trust forge a new path by disavowing their expected function in the name of the greater good. This is your moment. As fellow officers who have seen the destruction the war on marijuana has wrought on our communities, on our police forces, on our lives, we hope that you will join us in seeking a better world, the letter concluded. The L.E.A.P letter is only the latest manifestation of efforts by legalization supporters to persuade the federal government to stand back and not interfere with state-level attempts to craft schemes to tax and regulate marijuana commerce. Members of the Colorado Congressional Delegation have introduced legislation that would give the states freedom to act, while other members of Congress, notably Representatives Barney Frank, Democrat Massachusetts, and Ron Paul, Republican of Texas, have called on the Obama administration to respect the wishes of voters in Colorado and Washington. Frank and Paul are co-sponsors of a pending federal legalization bill. You know, that's what we've been trying to say here, is the fact that if this state would give us the respect that we deserve, and that's why I've asked the mayor and the city council and the county chamber, all these people, I've asked them to understand that we are being discriminated against. And this is very clearly enunciated here. So it says, we have sponsored legislation at the federal level to remove criminal penalties for the use of marijuana because of our belief in individual freedom. Frank and Paul wrote in a letter to President Obama last week, "We recognize that this has not yet become national policy, but we believe there are many strong reasons for your administration to allow the states of Colorado and Washington to set the policies they believe appropriate in this regard without the federal government overriding the choices made by the voters of these states." You want to jump back in?
Yes, we seem to be at a turning point in how our society deals with marijuana, said Franklin Tuesday. The war on marijuana has funded the expansion of drug cartels. It has destroyed community police relations, and it has fostered teenage use by creating an unregulated market where anyone has easy access. Prohibition has failed. Pretty much everyone knows it, especially those of us who dedicated our lives to enforcing it. The election results show that the people are ready to try something different. The opportunity clearly exists for President Obama and Attorney General Holder to do the right thing and respect the will of voters. During his first term, President Obama really disappointed those of us who hoped he might follow through on his campaign pledges to respect state medical marijuana laws, continued Franklin. Still, I'm hopeful that in his second term, he'll realize the political opportunity that exists to do the right thing. Polls show 80% support for medical marijuana, and in Colorado, marijuana legalization got more votes than the president did in his most recent election. So it goes also, former Seattle Police Chief Norman Stamper told the press conference the war on marijuana was essentially a war on youth, especially minority youth, that sours police community relations. I have come to believe that the war on marijuana has made enemies of many law-abiding Americans, especially young Black, Latino, and poor Americans. The law and the mass incarceration behind it have set up a real barrier between police and the community, particularly ethnic communities. You know, that's the thing, it creates disrespect for law enforcement. That's the thing I've been saying for a long time, and it's like the Department of, or the Oregon Association of Police Chiefs, the Oregon Association of District Attorney, the Oregon Association, blah, 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 all these service organs, these PACs is what they are. They form PACs so they can receive money from national organizations that they can spend on the campaign spreading their propaganda. It seems, I can't understand why they do that, because you think they would want more respect for their officers on the street, and yet they're doing creating just the opposite by doing that. There was a billboard, I don't think you've seen it yet, but there was a billboard that they put up in by Valhalla. It showed a very obviously meth-addicted lady, smoking cheeks and the whole bit, and they said, "What good is marijuana?" And it said nothing, you know. So anyway, they're insinuating against a marijuana addict, you know.
Right.
So we're going to take a break and get back on what's going on here, the walls are coming down, so we'll tell you.
And now a message from the American Marijuana Growers Association.
Hi, I'm a farmer, and I work hard every day to grow high-quality marijuana, the biggest cash crop in these United States. I'd like to thank you for your support of U.S. marijuana policy. Because marijuana is illegal, I don't have to pay taxes. Even better, prohibition leads to artificially inflated prices, which means a better quality of life for me and my family, as long as I don't get caught. Just as importantly, your tax dollars support thousands of U.S. agents who work tirelessly to keep low-grade, foreign marijuana out of our country. So thank you, America. And remember, whether you're nauseated from chemotherapy or just in the mood for a nice cool buzz, choose the best pot in the world, American homegrown.
We're back, just like a bad debt, and we're talking about how things are going on the legalization movement, especially after the election. And our next story is about the Colorado U.S. representatives that moved to support legal marijuana. So in the wake of this month's vote in Colorado to legalize marijuana, which won with 55% of the vote, a bipartisan group from the state's congressional delegation is stepping up in support of the voters' choice. Last Thursday, 3 Colorado members of the House, as well as 15 other representatives, sent a letter to Attorney General Eric Holder asking him to respect the state's new marijuana law. The following day, one of the same members of the Colorado delegation filed a bill that would ensure that the federal government does not override the vote in Colorado and in Washington, where a similar measure also passed. The Obama administration should, quote, take no action against anyone who acts in compliance with laws of Colorado, Washington, and any other states that choose to regulate access to marijuana. The letter penned by Republican Jared Polis, Democrat Colorado, said, the voters of these states chose by a substantial margin to forge a new and effective policy with respect to marijuana. The tide of public opinion is changing, both at the ballot box and in state legislatures across the country. We believe that the collective judgment of voters and state lawmakers must be respected. There's a statement here that's quite shocking, and yet Reverend Will and I were just discussing, and this is the way it ought to be. A Republican, Mike Kaufman.
Representative Mike Kaufman.
Pardon me?
Representative Mike
Representative Mike Kaufman, yeah. I strongly oppose the legalization of marijuana, but I also have an obligation to respect the will of the voters, given the passage of this initiative. So I feel obligated to support this legislation. So that's the way it's supposed to work. Instead of trying to circumvent the voters, it's supposed to honor what the voters want. So yeah, it's all across the country. States are choosing to reform their marijuana laws. As Justice Brandeis observed, states are the laboratories of democracy, and they should be given the opportunity to go forward with this social experiment, said Representative Steve Cohen, Democrat, Tennessee. I'm proud to co-sponsor this important bill, which will ensure that the federal government respects the people's judgment. So that would be unique, have the politicians follow the people. I would like to want to say if the people lead, the legislatures will follow. Mm-hmm. New England marijuana legalization bills are coming. In the wake of this month's marijuana legalization victories in Colorado and Washington, legislatures in New England are ramping up efforts to be the next state to legalize. Salons in Massachusetts, Maine, Rhode Island, and Vermont have all signaled they will be filing legalization bills next year. So the walls are coming down.
Yeah, well, there was a press conference in Rhode Island where State Representative Edith Aiello, Democrat from Providence, who introduced legislation bills in 2010 and 2011, said she would do so again. Our prohibition has failed, she said. I think legalizing and taxing it just as we did to alcohol is the way to do it. Then we have Maine State Representative Diane Russell, Democrat Portland, who said she too will reintroduce a marijuana legalization bill in her state. The people are far ahead of the politicians on this, Russell said. Just in the past few weeks, we've seen the culture shift dramatically. And then we have the legislators in Vermont and Massachusetts have also signaled they will be filing marijuana legalization bills next year. The legislative process is frustratingly slow, often taking several years to get a measure through, but in the wake of the Colorado and Washington votes, we could see a sudden collapse in support of pot prohibition, even at the state house.
That's incredible, yeah, it's just mind-boggling. People are starting to wake up and smell the coffee.
Well, now that the bully of the block doesn't have all the support that it's had in the past, we have this from Mexico lawmaker who files a marijuana legalization bill in Mexico City. A deputy from Mexico's left-leaning Democratic Revolutionary Party last Thursday introduced a bill, not yet posted, to legalize the use, cultivation, and sale of marijuana. The bill's chances of passage are slim, but in the wake of the successful marijuana legalization votes in Colorado and Washington, it will likely become a venue for further criticism of drug prohibition policies on both sides of the border. The prohibitionist paradigm is a complete failure, said Fernando Belanzaran, excuse me if I didn't say that right, who represents the Mexico City district. All this has done is spur more violence. The business continues. The country that has paid the highest cost is Mexico. Mexico decriminalized the possession of small amounts of drugs, including marijuana, in 2009, but while that move arguably improved the situation of drug users there, it has done nothing to reduce the prohibition-related violence that has cost the country at least 60,000 lives since President Felipe Calderon took office in December of 2006. Now, folks, if I have this number right, that's more people that died that have gone, that were in the Vietnam War. That was more people that have died from this drug war that's going on in Mexico than in the Vietnam War.
And that's in 6 years.
We have no idea of the damage that our country is doing to the rest of the world by not allowing us the freedom to use marijuana and to cultivate and process marijuana. I mean, for me, I'm very disappointed in our state that we were not in the forefront of being able to get the industries going in this state that would support the growing and the cultivation, the distribution, the manufacturing of all the different products that we have. Anyone who saw the 60 Minutes show should understand all of the benefits that have been put out by these people at this time. And you know, we're doing it here, we're doing tinctures and we're doing other things here, and all of that is not in compliance with our law. But understand, we have to do it because we want to be intelligent about what we're giving to people as a medicine. And you can't do that without doing the research. So it's just ridiculous that our government keeps standing in our way. And I'm going to say it again, for all those people who have cancer in their families that are killing family members, you should be the most disappointed and the most angry with your government for leading you in a direction that's not as beneficial or mostly beneficial as it could be in doing research with marijuana to help cancer patients, MS patients, and those who are on dialysis. Those are three of the areas that we know of where it works. Migraine headaches, and it also helps there. Body aches, you know, it helps if you're eating it. You know, and we're not promoting sitting down smoking bowls until you can't move, but we're definitely trying to support people in being able to have their body function without all the pain. After all, you know, we get older every day, and understand, you hit 64 like I have, and you pay attention to the pain that's going on in your body every day. So
that's right. It's actually, it can even be applied topically, is that the term?
Mm-hmm.
Rubbed in.
Yes.
They actually, I've talked to patients that they get relief from actually rubbing the oil into their skin.
Definitely, it's helped some people with psoriasis, and it's helped with skin cancer. So these are things that, you know, you don't know about because you're not going to hear about them from the government. You're not going to hear about them on commercials on TV who are telling you about all these different side effects that are going on that you don't have to deal with if you're using marijuana. You laugh a lot and you eat a lot. If those are big problems, then you got a problem, not us.
That's right. In fact, that's something I said a long time ago. All drugs have side effects. One of the side effects of marijuana is euphoria, and we can live with that.
We can live with that. All right.
And so, new polls show even split on marijuana legalization. 2 polls released last week show support for marijuana legalization hovering just under the 50% mark, with the American public split almost evenly on the issue. Both polls show that support for marijuana legalization continues to trend upward. A Rasmussen Reports poll released Monday had 45% in support, 45% opposed, and 10% undecided. And that fits right in with our election. We were 47%, and this is 45. I mean, that's right in there.
You know, the funniest thing about this is, just imagine what those numbers would be if the truth were known out there about how beneficial it could be. I mean, we're talking about taking chia seeds now, which used to be the big joke with the chia pets, and they're actually beneficial as far as being able to eat them, as far as being healthy. So here we are, we're talking about, I mean, look at birds are smart enough to eat hemp seed. They eat it, they're healthy. You know, the whole thing is that between the seed, between the roots, between the bark and the stem, and then you talk about the leaf, and then you talk about the bud. There's all of those that can be used to benefit our society at this point in time, which has been withheld from us for years.
I had a cockatiel years ago. He never took food from my hand. He would never take anything to eat from my hand except once. I had a pot seed, and I held it up to him, and he reached over and took that pot seed out and cracked the hole and ate the inside, and I just, it's amazing.
See, smarter than people,
Yeah,
and we talk about us being on top of the food chain.
So, yeah, anyway, so the polls keep getting better and better, and here's probably one of the top stories this evening that at least I thought sounded really interesting. Marijuana decriminalization drops youth crime rates by stunning 20% in 1 year.
1 year.
He said marijuana is one of the primary reasons why California experienced a stunning 20% drop in juvenile arrests in just 1 year between 2010 and 2011, according to provocative new research. The San Francisco-based Center for Juvenile and Criminal Justice recently released a policy briefing with an analysis of arrest data collected by the California Department of Justice's Criminal Justice Statistics Center. The briefing, California Youth Crime Plunges to All-Time Low, identifies a new state marijuana decriminalization law that applies to juveniles, not just adults, as the driving force behind the plummeting arrest total. So there you go. It's just, it's good, good, good. So public, listen.
So we got to wrap it up for now, but we'll be back with good news again next week. We'll tell you all we can find out.
December 2nd, Sunday.
That's right, at the Compassion
Center.
Center.
On Garf.